The Young and the Restless spoilers. This week on The Young and the Restless, the spotlight turns away from the boardrooms and romance triangles of Genoa City's usual suspects to the complicated fallout of Cane Ashby's most recent string of deceptions. For years, Cane has walked the line between family man and schemer, between loving father and flawed individual desperate to prove his worth. But this time, his schemes reached a point of no return. Under the false identity of Aristotle Dumas, Cane constructed an empire of illusions, weaving lies into what he hoped would be the foundation of his success. To Cane, it was never about malicite, it was about proving he could rise above the reputation of failure that seemed to shadow him at every turn. Yet when the truth came crashing down, so too did the fragile trust of his children. And now, at Lily's urging, Cane has taken the step he has long feared, confessing everything to Maddie and Charlie, laying bare not only his actions, but also the fractured reasons behind them. For Lily, the decision to encourage Cane toward confession was not easy. She has endured more betrayals from him than she cares to count, yet she has always recognized the deep love he holds for his children. Whatever their troubles as husband and wife, Cane has always been a father first in her eyes, and she knows that the only way forward for him is through truth. No longer can he hide behind elaborate lies. No longer can he pretend to be someone he is not. If Cane has any hope of healing his fractured relationship with his children, he must finally stand before them not as Aristotle Dumas, not as a man chasing success at all costs, but as a flawed father who still loves them with every fiber of his being. Lily pushed him toward this moment, not because she believes in him without doubt, but because she believes Maddie and Charlie deserve the truth. And so Cane sat down, the weight of years of lies heavy on his shoulders, and recorded the video that may very well define the future of his family. With the camera on, he confessed everything creation of the Dumas identity, the fraudulent empire he attempted to build, the deceitful deals and empty promises. He explained how it all started with exhaustion, with a man sick of failing, of being seen as less than, of constantly disappointing those he loved. He admitted that he wanted to prove, not only to the world, but to himself, that he could be more than just Lily's flawed husband, more than just a father treading water, more than a man defined by his mistakes. He wanted to build something lasting, something his children could look to with pride. But the empire he built was not built on truth, it was built on lies. And Cane now knows that the only way forward is to tear down the facade and ask for forgiveness. Maddie and Charlie, once close to their father, have become increasingly distant over the years. They have watched him stumble time and again, from infidelity scandals to business failures, and each time they have grown a little more wary, a little less trusting. For them, the revelation that their father has been hiding behind a false identity is not just shocking, it is heartbreaking. They are no longer small children who can be shielded from his mistakes. They are young adults capable of forming their own judgments, and Cane knows this. That is why he left the choice in their hands. After years of trying to control every outcome, he is finally admitting that the decision is not his to make. Whether they forgive him or not, whether they allow him back into their lives or shut him out completely, is up to them. The video itself is raw and emotional. Cane speaks with a vulnerability rarely seen in him, stripped of bravado, stripped of the smooth explanations he so often relies on to excuse his behavior. For once, there are no excuses in the honesty. He admits he lied. He admits he failed. He admits he allowed his pride to come before his children. And yet, beneath the shame, there is a clear plea that they understand his intentions, even if they cannot condone his actions, that they see the love behind the lies, even if that love was poorly expressed, that they recognize that, despite everything, he is still their father, still a man who wants nothing more than to be worthy of their trust again. For Maddie, the revelation cuts deep. She has always been the more cautious of Cane's children, the one who sees the cracks in the facade sooner than her brother. To her, this confession is both validating and devastating. validating because it confirms the suspicion she has harbored for some time about her father's behavior, devastating because it proves that the man she wanted to believe in has once again let her down. Charlie, meanwhile, reacts with a mix of anger and confusion. He has always sought to see the best in his father, to believe in his resilience, but this latest betrayal makes him question everything. To him, the lie is not just about business or ambition, it is about trust. If Cane can lie so easily about something this big, what else has he lied about? How can Charlie look his father in the eye and believe in him again? The heartbreak of this storyline lies not just in Cane's deception, but in the genuine love he has for his children. He is not a villain in the traditional sense. He is a flawed man whose desperation for success has led him astray time and again. His desire to be admired, to be respected, to be more than his failures, has blinded him to the damage he has inflicted on those closest to him. And now, standing at the precipice, he must confront the reality that love alone may not be enough to earn forgiveness. His children may love him, but love does not erase betrayal. Love does not rebuild trust overnight. Still, Cane hopes. He hopes that by putting the truth in their hands, by offering them the full picture without spin or manipulation, he has taken the first step toward healing. He hopes that they will see him not only as the man who lied, but also as the man who is willing to change, willing to start over, willing to put family above ambition for the first time in far too long. Whether that hope is justified remains to be seen. The choice lies not with him, but with Maddie and Charlie, who now must decide whether to open the door to reconciliation or close it permanently. For the audience, the story resonates because it speaks to the universal themes of family, forgiveness, and the struggle to reconcile love with betrayal. Cane's journey is not simply about the exposure of Lisa, it is about the search for redemption, the painful realization that trust once broken is not easily repaired, and the acknowledgement that sometimes the bravest thing a man can do is admit he was wrong. Whether Maddie and Charlie grant him forgiveness will define not only his future as a father, but also his identity as a man. On The Young and the Restless, the return of Cane Ashby's children into the orbit of his storyline has opened up a complex, layered narrative that goes beyond the simple binary of guilt and innocence. For months, Cane has lived under the weight of his decisions, haunted by the collapse of his carefully constructed empire and the fear that his family would never look at him the same way again. His alter ego, Aristotle Dumas, was a product of desperation, but also ambition, a mask he wore not to deceive his children, but to escape the crushing sense that he was destined for failure. When Cane confessed to Maddie and Charlie through his emotional video message, he knew he was risking everything. Yet what has emerged is not merely a portrait of a liar exposed, but a man misunderstood, struggling to balance his ambition with his love for his family. The question now shifts from whether Cane was wrong to create an alias to whether the act itself truly defined him as a liar or fraud. In truth, Cane was not alone in taking on a new identity to propel himself into a world that would otherwise remain closed. History, both within Genoa City and beyond, is filled with men and women who reinvented themselves, who cloaked themselves in new names to break down barriers and carve out paths of success. Cane's alias was not meant to rob his children of their trust, nor was it designed to harm them. On the contrary, it was born from a deep yearning to finally deliver on the promises he had made to them over the years that he could be more than the man who stumbled, more than the husband who strayed, more than the father who constantly seemed to fall short. To Cane, Aristotle Dumas was not a con artist, but a projection of the man he wanted to be. That distinction may not erase the sting of betrayal, but it reframes it. For Maddie and Charlie, the revelation is still painful. They must come to terms with the fact that their father lived a double life, that he hid truths from them and risked everything in pursuit of a dream. Yet as the dust settles, the deeper truth begins to emerge. Cane did not lie to hurt them. He lied to prove himself, to stand taller in their eyes, to show them that their father could still build something meaningful. His failure was not in the creation of Aristotle Dumas, but in the silence that followed, the failure to bring his family into his confidence before the mask slipped away. For the children, forgiveness will not be immediate. It will take time to understand their father's motivations, to reconcile the man they love with the man who disappointed them. But there is hope that with honesty now on the table, Cane can begin to rebuild the fragile bonds that have long been frayed. The road to reconciliation will be slow, but slowness is not weakness. It is the mark of a storyline that understands the gravity of its subject matter, allowing the healing process to unfold organically rather than rushing toward artificial closure. Beyond the children, the ripple effect of Cane's confession touches Lily as well. Lily, who has spent years oscillating between love, anger, forgiveness, and disillusionment, now faces the possibility of seeing Cane in a new light. His confession to Maddie and Charlie is not merely about clearing his conscience, it is about demonstrating his growth, showing that he is finally ready to put truth above pretense. For Lily, who has endured so much pain at his hands, this gesture is not enough to erase the past, but it is a beginning. It is the first brick in what could eventually become a rebuilt foundation of trust. Whether she admits it aloud or not, Lily still carries a piece of Cane in her heart, and the prospect of seeing him humbled, of watching him fight to win back his children's forgiveness, may stir something in her that she thought was long gone. The potential for Maddie and Charlie's return to Genoa City makes this storyline even more compelling. For too long, their absence has been a sore spot, a reminder of unfinished family business that has never been properly resolved. Cane and Lily mention them often, their names lingering in conversations like ghosts, but without their physical presence, the story always felt incomplete. Bringing them back, whether for a short stint or a longer arc, would not only ground Cane's redemption, but also give viewers the chance to see the next generation wrestle with the legacies of their parents. How will Maddie and Charlie react when they see Cane not as Aristotle Dumas, but as the vulnerable man begging for a second chance? Will they embrace him, challenge him, or reject him outright? These questions promise rich dramatic potential, the kind of layered family storytelling that soap fans crave. At its core, this arc is not about fraud or deception. It is about family, about the fragile ties that bind parents and children, and about the desperate lengths one man will go to prove himself worthy of love. Cane's alias does not define him, it is his choices that do. And now, his choice is clear. He no longer wants empires, he no longer wants power, he no longer wants to live behind masks. He wants his children back. He wants his family whole. He wants Lily's trust. Those desires, stripped of pretense, are the most human of all. The beauty of this storyline lies in its patience. Forgiveness will not come overnight. Maddie and Charlie will wrestle with their anger, their disappointment, their confusion. Lily will struggle to believe that Cane's words reflect lasting change rather than another fleeting gesture. Cane will battle his own demons, his own pride, his own restless need for validation. And yet, through this slow process, there is hope that reconciliation, however difficult, is possible. Hope that the family can find its way back to one another, not through lies or masks, but through truth and love. In the end, Cane's story is not just about redemption. It is about resilience. It is about the recognition that failure does not erase love, that betrayal does not destroy the possibility of forgiveness, and that even the most fractured families can heal if they are willing to face the truth together. Whether Maddie and Charlie return in person or remain voices on the horizon, their father's confession has set in motion a journey that will redefine the Ashby family. And for longtime viewers, the promise of seeing Cane, Lily, Maddie, and Charlie share the screen again, working through pain, rediscovering love. Rebuilding trust is the kind of slow burn payoff that makes the young and the restless endure decade after decade.